Hi, this is Phil Shapiro in Tacoma Park, Maryland, just outside of Washington, D.C. Today, I have the pleasure of talking with Venkat Ramakrishnan, who's a software tester. And I know him from the internet, very interesting tweets and ideas. And I wanted to find out more about what he does for a living as a software tester. Venkat, can you tell me, how did you get into software testing and what made you choose software testing as your career?
Hi, Phil. Thanks for the invitation and this interview. It's a pleasure to be talking to you today. I experienced software testing for the first time in my first job. I was working as a developer then, programming in C programming language. I was 2 years into my career. I had done a bit of maintenance of existing C code and had written a couple of modules for a C compiler. At that point of time, there was a shortage of staff. I was the only one who relatively had some bandwidth in addition to what I was already doing, so they asked me to test. I started with manual testing, which is considered a nasty phrase these days, by the way, and I found some pretty nasty bugs. Soon I became the darling of the company in finding bugs. It was a small company with 15 to 20 employees. At that point, I figured I enjoyed testing as well as I was good at it. Although I went back to software development after this short stint, I decided that if I would ever get a chance to test again, I would go for it. In the second company, when I was 6 months into the job, they asked me, "Hey Venkat, there is an opportunity in San Jose, California, but it's only a testing job. Are you willing?" I was thinking, wow, what's this guy even saying? Why is he saying it's only a testing job? So I said I would be very happy to take it up. And I moved to USA. Thus started my testing career. I never looked back. I am back in India now, but I'm still in software testing.
That is an interesting story, and thanks for sharing it so concisely. What skill set does one need to be a software tester, and what advice would you give to people aspiring to work in the software testing field?
I wouldn't exactly call them as skill sets, but I would call them as qualities. There are 3 essential qualities that I think are needed to be a successful tester. And I have talked about this in my YouTube video in detail. Watch it when you can. Essentially, you need to be curious to learn, need to have big picture thinking, and pay attention to detail. Those are the 3 qualities. For an aspiring software tester, I would advise that you practice these 3 qualities and then look at learning some programming languages. The programming languages that are in demand are JavaScript, Golang, C#, Python, and Kotlin. Take cloud computing training. The automation tools that you would need depends on the position. You can also learn SQL and any one of the columnar databases. Selenium is always good to have. How to start with testing? Well, play around with a lot of software that's available everywhere, on the web, on the desktop, and on your mobiles. See if they behave as expected in your opinion. What makes you frustrated? What makes you think that things could be better? Does the software crash? How does the software work on various modes? For example, while you are connected to Wi-Fi, while you are connected to your data network, and so on. How is the response time? Does the software take too long to respond? Does the software makes your computer or mobile too slow? How about security? Are there security controls to use the software and the data? Where is the data stored? You explore several things and learn about the software. You look all the facets of the software, and eventually you will get good at exploring things and finding those nasty bugs.
I'm beginning to see the picture. This analogy is a little bit between a creative writer and an editor, the person who fixes things and takes the original energy and makes it polished and more usable. Very interesting.
Absolutely. I'm an editor myself, by the way. I have an artistic side and I do book reviews and I do edits. So I can relate to what you're saying.
Right. And share some of your experiences as a software tester.
I think I am blessed to have worked in golden times when internet was being built, and I had the opportunity to work with industry standards, technologists, distinguished engineers and fellows, and industry leaders. It was tough to stand up for what's right against such stalwarts, when there is a deviation in the software behavior from what's specified or expected. But then it's part of the job. The stuff that I most enjoyed was when testing software that has already been declared bug free, and then it came to our testing for integration into another platform. And there you go, we find a whole lot of bugs, and those bugs were native to the original platform and not specific to the integration. So we would wonder what testing was done originally. Then they would show the test plans, test cases, and try to defend themselves. It was fun. No stone left unturned would be the best approach for software testing in my experience.
I read about the NASA software developers for in the 1960s who designed the software to put the men on the moon. And their software testing was so rigorous because if they had a bug, the lives would be lost of the astronauts and billions of dollars would be lost. And so this software was of the highest possible caliber. They must have had the very best software testers you could imagine review the code. And the code back then, in the 1960s, the code was in kilobytes, not megabytes, because everything was so small back then, right?
Absolutely. So I completely agree with the rigorous practice of software testing for that military grade kind of software. And even today, in the financial and regulatory environments, the software testing needs to be really rigorous, and they go through a lot of processes to make sure that things are working. And you can imagine things like airlines, software, things like that. So you can imagine how difficult it would be.
Yes, it would be frustrating to go to your bank's website and then encounter a bug. Because that can make you quite grumpy quickly. Now, if you had to do software testing all over again in career, what would you do different? Or what would you do different?
I would definitely have better coordination with the business analysts, product owners, or whoever it is who is in direct touch with the customers or the target audience, because 65% of the software defects happen in the requirements is what I heard.
Aha.
So if we can prevent those bugs at the requirements collection and analysis itself, the software code would be far tight and free from requirements, uncertainty, and change. Whether we are able to achieve this in today's frequent requirement changes environment is something we need to answer for ourselves. But I think it is achievable because we can have a thorough analysis checklist of the various aspects of the software, and certainly that's something I would do better today.
That's so interesting. Yes, I can see that. The frequent changes of requirements, that can be very taxing, very burdensome. And tell me, what are the latest trends in software testing?
The latest trend is moving towards faster development and faster delivery. Anything that stands in between is being hated, including involved areas like performance and security testing and manual functional testing. Sometimes there is no chance to do manual testing after the product is built because there is no space or time to manually test before the product goes into production. So software testers are finding it difficult to see where and how to test a finished product. Although we can do a lot of analysis in the requirements, design and coding stages and perhaps observe in the production, there is still a need to test the product manually before it goes to the customer. Some companies have taken the approach of having a separate pipeline to do the manual testing, get the bugs fixed, and then integrate back to the trunk. But some companies don't have such an option. So these are the current challenges that software testing is facing. Software testing is growing into a mature analyst kind of role rather than doing just the black box testing. It would be challenging for the beginners to take that kind of responsibility right when they start their career. There are tons to learn, and experience is always the teacher, not just the stuff that you learn off YouTube. So I guess it all depends on how the new software testers are being groomed into the system and nurtured to learn and grow. Support of everyone in the team, including the developers, is a must.
Now, tell me about your YouTube channel. There's other YouTube channels on software testing, and what is your niche in the software testing with your YouTube channel?
Great question. Honestly, I don't believe in a niche because software industry is rapidly changing. I try to address whatever is relevant for the current scenario in my YouTube channel. The channel is about all aspects of software testing as well as software quality. When we say software testing, it's end-to-end software testing from requirements to production. And when we say software quality, it's mostly focused on customer delight, on how to channelize and align ourselves towards the customer needs and how to bring about the metrics that are required for the customer success. So that's what the channel is about. I speak to practitioners and industry experts, and I do some sessions myself. It's still a very young channel and there is a lot more to come. So I would suggest everyone to subscribe to my channel to get the latest updates as we go. It would be worth your time, definitely.
Good. And for this video on YouTube that I'm making here, I'm going to include a link to Venkat's channel in the description of the video. You just click there and you can subscribe. So interesting to talk to you after all this time that we've been sharing ideas online. Now we're sharing ideas here in this interview, and I'm seeing a bigger picture of your career, and it's quite interesting that people who don't work in technology do not have an appreciation for how much work is done to make sure that software functions. The programmer, the computer developer, the software developers, that's just one part of the picture. Without the software tester, we'd all be using software that is not that good quality.
Absolutely. In today's scenario of software being everywhere, in mobile phones, wherever you go, there is software. So it's pretty important to have software quality. Testing is an important part that would make sure that software behaves as it's supposed to behave.
Thank you so much. Talking with Venkat Ramakrishnan here in September 2021.
Thank you so much, Phil, for the opportunity.
Until next time.
Until next time.
Bye.